Welcome to Discover Pasadena. I'm your host, Erin Webb. We have an exciting show coming up for you today. We will hear from Heather Betancourt from Chevron Phillips Chemical Company to give you insight on all the everyday products we use whose production begins right here in Pasadena. We also have Tim Pilot from one of our unique treasures right here in Pasadena, the Armand Bayou Nature Center. He's going to fill us in on all the fun things there are to do there. But first, we're going to start the show with an extraordinary young man with a very inspiring story. Welcome to Discover Pasadena. I am so excited to bring to you our first guest this month, Eduardo Verostegui. He is actually an alumni here in Pasadena ISD. He graduated right here at the Dr. Kirk Lewis Career and Technical High School. He's overcome obstacles since birth. Having been born with a rare condition, he has led his life as an inspiration to others by sharing his story. As a content creator, he shares his testimony on being a teenage Mexican immigrant in the United States and how at such a young age he's been able to be successful. Eduardo, many media outlets such as ABC 13 and Click 2 Houston are calling you an inspiration, saying you've overcome several adversities in your life. Would you mind letting people in on that story and telling them the rare condition you were born with and how it has impacted your life?
You're right. I've been actually one of the really very few people on this planet to ever be born with golden heart syndrome specifically. Now, I know a lot of your viewers are probably more curious to know more about what it entails to be affected by the syndrome rather than just knowing its name. So here's what I can tell you from my own personal research and what I've been told by doctors in the past. It's basically a syndrome that affects people. The majority of its effects are mostly aesthetical. It's not really something that affects you functionally in many ways. And to the surprise of many, probably, my case was actually very mild. You know, a lot of people have problems with their spine or their ribs or other parts of their body. And in my case, it was just my facial features that were affected. And it's basically just a congenital syndrome. So you are basically born with it. You know, it's nothing really you can do. Nobody in my family has ever had anything nearly as similar as golden heart or anything like that. And from the research that has been done so far, it's very, it's highly unlikely that it can be passed along, in case anybody's wondering that, right? But in my case, you may be able to tell that I have my ear, which wasn't fully developed at birth. So really, that's the reason why you notice it's, basically different than the majority of people, and that's because through surgeries I've been able to, or doctors have been able to get it to look, closer to a regular ear, but definitely I cannot hear out of my left ear, which is, something a lot of people don't even know until I tell them, which is very interesting, I guess. Some people just have the assumption that I'm able to hear out of my left ear, but I can't. And then aside from that, I guess my right eye, you can probably tell that I have a feature where it was not fully developed, so I kind of have a hard time, closing and opening my eye fully. I can close it when I sleep, but I can't really open it fully. I can still see out of my right eye, and everything's fine. It's just, just the way it affects you. So things that can be definitely fixed with surgeries, although I'm not very interested in doing that right now. But yeah, the way it has impacted my life, it's just, being different than the majority of people. And that's something I always say. It's not bad to be different, but it's definitely something that calls for people's attention. People want to know what's up, especially when you're younger. People just wonder, like, what's going on? Were you involved in an accident? Or did you, develop a disease or something like that? And in my case, it was just something I was born with. Then again, it's a congenital syndrome. So that's just how it is, and I've tried my very best not to let it affect me on any way, the way I carry on with my life and how I do my job and how I pursue my passions. I've never really seen it as a factor that should prevent me from accomplishing my dreams. And even in the case that it would affect me in more functional ways, I would still try my very best not to let it affect me because, life is so short that I don't think we should ever let anything become a barrier to pursuing our passion.
You're absolutely right, and that's probably, I met you last year, and that's something that I remember about you, and I tell my kids, and I tell stories about you probably don't even know, is when I met you, you told me, I was born with this, I could have let it affected me, I could have let it bring me down my whole life, but I didn't.
Right.
And it's something that stuck with me, and you know, it's something that I admire about you, because so many
Thank you.
people let those obstacles, whatever they are in our life, bring us down, and you didn't. And I truly think you are and will continue to be an inspiration to others.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Of course. You also just came to the United States from Mexico 7 years ago?
Yeah, almost 7 years ago.
Wow, that's pretty incredible. Can you tell us about some of the challenges you faced being an
course.
immigrant?
Sure. So I originally immigrated with my family to the United States back in September of 2013, if I'm not mistaken. So it's been almost 7 years, and it's been a crazy ride. I know when like the first week and a half that I spent here, I really just wanted to go back home. I mean, I had a lot of friends. All of my family still lives in Mexico, or most of it as of right now. So I just wanted to go back home. I just wanted to be with my family, be with my friends. So why would I want to leave all of my family back in Mexico to come here, even though I did know that there would be a lot of new opportunities and a lot of new things that I would be able to accomplish, you know, learning English being one of them, and probably the most important one. So, you know, when I first got here, I knew very little English. I'm not going to say I knew no English, but I definitely didn't know a lot, and especially when it comes to like being able to hear and process, you know, people's different accents, or people who speak with no accent at all, right? You get classes or, you know, English lessons in Mexico per se, and the majority of people will speak with an accent, so you kind of get used to listening to that kind of accent. So you come here and you listen to people speaking perfectly, and it's just like, wow, like am I even gonna be able to get the hang of that? Like, will I be able to understand everything they say? And to my surprise, I was able to, you know, be able to listen and understand English fully, and being able to speak it fluently, which is something that I played on high priority. You know, I've always wanted to do something in the fields of communication, and I just love spreading my message with other people. So I knew that if I wanted to do that, I would have to find a way to be able to speak with as much fluency as I possibly could. So what I have tried to do is just, you know, learn as much as English vocabulary as I've been able to, you know, do over the years. You know, I've been trying to look over the dictionary. Every single word I don't know, I look up on Google or do something, because I need to know every word so I'm able to use it in the future. And that's just what I did. You know, it started very basic with very basic words, and now it's translated into things that are more complex, that allow me to, you know, go about doing my job, my current job in communication.
Yeah, speaking of that, you know, I would have never guessed that you only came here 7 years ago. You speak
Thank you.
so well.
I
mean,
appreciate
it's incredible. Again, such an inspiration to people. Now, you graduated from CTHS.
That's right.
And then where'd you go? What happened? What are you doing now?
So after graduating CTHS, I actually was able to land a job at PISD in communication department, which has been a really cool experience for me. I mean, I can tell you from, you know, what I did here as a student at CTHS in the AV department here, you know, it was a really cool experience. I was able to get a lot of real world experiences. You know, a lot of that goes to credit to my former AV instructor. Shout out Ms. Wen. So yeah, I mean, it was so cool being able to get the experience that I needed to be able to show my work to my clients, so I could not only make money by freelancing, doing wedding films or photography, which is something I do on my free time actually, but also it translated into me being able to have a job at PISD. And I remember even back then, when I was probably still a junior, I didn't really know much about PISD as a, you know, as a whole organization. Just kind of knew as in the district that I go to school at, really. But I would watch the videos that they would produce, and I tell myself, you know, it would be cool to one day be able to work like them or work with them and learn from them, because the videos were really good. I mean, the quality was amazing. Everything was really well shot, and I wanted to be able to do that one day. So who would have ever thought that, you know, just a few months from when I had those thoughts, that I would be able to work with the media department and learn from a really, you know, detail-oriented team, which is something that has been really key for me in being able to grow professionally. So, you know, getting to work with people who are professionals at writing press releases and who know a lot about video and photography and marketing and public relations has been an amazing experience. And I think I've not only been able to learn from them, but I want to think that I'm able to contribute something of my own to the department that makes the district better in at least some way.
Absolutely. Well, you might not have been born here in Pasadena, but we're claiming you as our own now.
Oh yeah, for sure. I love Pasadena.
So, Eduardo, what is your favorite thing about Pasadena?
Ooh, that's a really good question. Pasadena is amazing. I mean, really, there are so many things you can do as far as opportunities. The people are amazing. Everybody is so united. Whenever people are in need, others, come to the rescue. I remember, back when Hurricane Harvey hit, and that's something everybody brings up because it's such a great example of how Pasadena is so strong together. People who were in need received help from others who were in, situations where they were able to provide the help. So to me, that's just mind-blowing because a lot of people could say, okay, I'm going to look over my own interests. I want to make sure my family is safe. But no, people in Pasadena did something different. They wanted to help everybody in the community, and you could really see the benefits of that happening when we were able to just get back on our feet after such a tragic event. Really, a lot of people lost their homes. A lot of people went through really difficult times. A lot of people even had to move. So the fact that we all came together and helped each other out in a scenario like that just tells us and tells everybody that Pasadena is an amazing city. But when it comes to my favorite thing, it definitely has to be the opportunities.
Yeah.
I mean, as a young student, just having the choice to do anything I really want to do, whether it's pursue an early education through the early college program, or do like a career and technical program, which is what I ended up doing, or so many different things. Just going through my traditional high school experience, I noticed that there were so many things that I was lucky enough to be able to do if I really wanted to, that I never felt like there was a barrier as to how much I could accomplish. So, in my case, I chose the path of a career in technical education, and I'm very happy with that, and I'm sure that a lot of people who desire to finish college early can definitely get into that program and just be able to do that. And even some colleges are expanding their programs. Some colleges are now, like I know St. Jack is doing like a really cool thing where they're gonna start a 4-year degree for nursing and stuff like that. So just seeing how everything is evolving in the education system is really amazing, and that, for me as a former Pasadena ISD student, is one of the greatest things about the city.
I agree with you on that one. Eduardo was born with a rare condition. He migrated over here only 7 years ago, and he's living his dream right now. So don't let anything stop you from living your dream. Eduardo, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate that, of course.
Don't go anywhere, because when we come back, we're going to talk to Heather Betancourt with Chevron Phillips Chemical Company. Welcome back to Discover Pasadena. Here with me now is Heather Betancourt from Chevron Phillips Chemical Company, and she's joining us today to really discuss the positive impact that the petrochemical industry has, not only in our region, but worldwide. So Heather, why don't you tell everybody who you are and what you do for a living?
Sure. So I work for Chevron Phillips Chemical. We're a global company of about 5,000 employees. We do have 2 facilities in the Houston Ship Channel region, one in Baytown and one here in Pasadena. My role is community relations representative, which basically means I'm a liaison between the folks in the plant and the folks who live outside of the plant. And that can range from anything from getting volunteers in the community to help out, providing charitable contributions, supporting scholarship programs at our local high schools and colleges, to answering just general questions that anybody has about the facility and what's going on in the facility. I'm the person they would contact.
Well, I know you're certainly busy, and Chevron Phillips Chemical does a lot of work, not only with the chamber, but in the community in general, and I know we all appreciate what you guys do for all of us. And I personally know how busy you are, so thank you for all that you do. Chevron Phillips Chemical is a pretty big company. Pasadena and our surrounding cities have a heavy industry and petrochemical presence. What a lot of people may not know are what types of products come out of these facilities. So let's start off by specifically talking about what comes out of Chevron Phillips Chemical.
Sure. So one of our biggest product lines starts with ethane, which is a natural gas that naturally is derived from earth. We take ethane and we turn it into ethylene. And the best way to explain ethylene is if you're in a garage tinkering around, this would be your basic tool, your basic tinker toy, because there are so many things you can add to ethylene to make many, many products. waxes, polyethylene, which is a fancy technical term for plastic, and then those products go into many things that you and I would see every day. So what we're making in our facilities here in Pasadena, you would never find on a store shelf. We're selling them to customers who would then make plastic bottles or milk jugs or kayaks or bicycle helmets, but where we're making starts at the basic foundational level of polyethylene or plastic pellet.
So without the products that you're making, we couldn't have stuff that we go to use in our everyday lives, right? That's the base, is what you're saying.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We touch a product that is made on the Houston Ship Channel from the moment we wake up to the moment we go to bed, and I would challenge anyone to say that they don't. It starts with your alarm clock, your mattress, your food packaging, when you get milk out of your refrigerator, the cell phone that you use to connect with your family and friends, the vehicle you're driving. There's so many products that polyethylene goes into, including our clothes. I would say that's the number one thing
Really?
that people are most surprised about. So we don't wear natural fibers that much anymore. So unless you're wearing 100% cotton, wool, or silk, you are wearing a polyethylene blend, which is a plastic resin blended with a natural fiber. So most of us are wearing plastic right now.
That's interesting. I definitely did not know that. What about some of your, partners along the ship channel, and what other type of products besides, polyethylene come out of this Pasadena area?
It's a wide range of projects. There's a lot of oil refining companies, so yeah, a lot of the gasoline that goes into your truck, the synthetic oils that would also go into machinery and cars, waxes that you would find in your Yankee Candle, those come out of this area, and then of course polyethylene or plastic production.
What would happen if this area didn't exist?
It would be an economic devastation for the entire United States of America.
Yeah.
And I would say the global implications as well. So many of our products, they don't stay here in the US. They actually go overseas, and one of our biggest consumers is Asia. And so there would be global implications if this area didn't exist or was suddenly shut down.
So last month we had Dr. Deanne Powell on the show, who is a superintendent of Pasadena ISD, and we really kind of we got outside the box of thinking that, the old mentality of every kid has to go get their 4 or 5 year degree, go to college, go into the work field and get an office job. And I think, Pasadena ISD especially is learning more and more that that's not the case for every student. Not every student is made for that life. And luckily, we live in a region where that's okay, because our kids can, come to schools like CTHS and learn trades, then go on to San Jacinto College to their new CPET building, and then go right into the workforce and the plants and get good paying jobs. So what can you tell me about some of those job opportunities? How lucky are we to live where we do, to offer these kind of job opportunities?
Absolutely. So there's a really interesting article in Big Magazine this month where the Economic Alliance of the Houston Port Region talks about that there is over $7 billion of combined capital investment going on in the Houston Ship Channel region right now. So what that means is these companies, these facilities are investing over $7 billion right now as we speak to either build new plants, retrofit existing plants, or expand plants. And what that does is creates jobs for this area. So there will be over 3,000 new jobs created just from these projects. And these jobs pay on average over $100,000 a year. You don't need a 4-year degree to get most of them. You usually just need a 2-year degree from a community college, which saves you tons of money in college debt. As soon as you get done with that degree and you go to work for one of these facilities and you're making 6 figures, you would be able to support yourself, raise a family if you chose to, buy a home, and be a contributing member of society. So I would say that we are lucky to have this in our area because it's literally the American dream. the values that we hold as Americans, especially for our children, to get an education, to have a job, to be self-sufficient and a contributing member of society, we have all right here in Pasadena.
I couldn't agree more. And as a mom of an 18-year-old, he doesn't know what he wants to do yet, and that's okay. But I know that living here and working here, we have probably the best options around any of our neighboring communities. Thank you for providing that information. And before we let you go, we have a thing here. You have to tell us what your favorite thing about Pasadena is.
I love Pasadena because the American dream is in Pasadena.
Thank you, Heather. We're going to be right back with Tim from Armand Bayou Nature Center. But before we do, here's a word from our sponsors. Welcome back to Discover Pasadena. I'm so excited to bring you my next guest, Tim Pilot from the Armand Bayou Nature Center. And so many people don't realize that Armand Bayou is right here in Pasadena. In fact, it's one of our hidden treasures. So why don't you tell everybody who may not know anything about Armand Bayou what it is?
Armand Bayou Nature Center is the largest urban wilderness preserve in the United States with 2,500 acres. The entrance is located right at the corner of Red Bluff and Bay Area Boulevards. It's on the south end of Pasadena, but it's definitely here in Pasadena. Our mission is twofold. First of all, it's to protect the habitat with which we have been entrusted. We have Texas coastal tallgrass prairie, forested wetlands, and then the bayou itself, of course, and its accompanying marshes. And then the second part of our mission is to educate people about their ecological heritage and why it's so important to all of us. We have programs for kids from 4 years old all the way up through college and university students. We have partnerships with multiple public schools in the area. Folks bring their kids out to do field trips with us. We have homeschoolers that come out and work with us. We have partnerships with University of Texas at Austin, a budding partnership with Texas A&M, University of Houston Clear Lake, Santa College, Lee College, multiple programs, and programs for adults as well. We have lots of cool hikes, night hikes, and bat hikes, and owl hikes, and day hikes, and we have a menagerie of ambassador animals to teach kids all about their ecological heritage. We have baby alligators on site. We have snakes and turtles and lizards and frogs and stuff to really show kids up close and personal what their ecological heritage is all about. So it's a really, really great place for young and for old. We have 5 miles of hiking trails, so if you just want to get out and enjoy nature and hear the sounds of birds, for those of you who are birders as well, we've just recently had some sightings of some very rare birds, tropical parulas and such, and people come from all over to just come and see these rare birds that are with us.
That's awesome. I have been there so many times. It's one of my favorite places to go. I like it more than going to the zoo because it's more of an experience. I personally enjoy the fact that you let us go on a hike and say, go off trail if you want, go explore. And me and my kids have definitely done that. What other type of, how is it not like the zoo? You can come, I know there's a bison there because I saw that the last time.
That's right.
You can see the animals, but you talked about the hands-on experience. If I'm coming there and I'm a kid or an adult and I'm so excited, what can I get my hands on?
Most of the programs that we have engage the kids in some sort of a hands-on experience. If you look at our summer camps, for example, kids get down in the mud and they pull up the creepy crawlies out of the mud. They go fishing. They actually catch fish. Out at the pond at Mays Pond. You can't pet the bison. They're pretty big and territorial animals. But kids do get to touch a baby alligator. They get to touch a snake. And then when you're out walking in the woods, you may experience an armadillo just walking across the trail or see one of our native snakes squiggling across the trail. It is unlike any other experience, I think, in the Houston area. Partly because if you look at every other bayou in the Bayou City, if you look at Brays Bayou or Sims Bayou or Buffalo Bayou, there are lots of great green spaces, but all of those bayous have in some way been altered. They've been channelized, or they've been straightened, or they've been concreted, or they have somehow been changed. But when you walk out along Armand Bayou, it's like going back in time, because the Armand Bayou has remained unchanged since 1974 when we were established. So we're a very old nature center, and we've been around for a really long time, and it's just raw nature. It's absolutely raw. So it's not curated, it's not choreographed, it's not, you can experience something different every single time that you get out to Armand Bayou Nature Center.
That's true. It is. It's beautiful. And if you're looking for a place just to escape, like you said, you can go walk around or just sit there for as long as you want. Earlier you talked kind of about the events that you do throughout the year. What are some of those events?
Well, lots of cool things going on. We have a brand new pontoon boat coming in April or May that will seat 16 passengers. So we're very, very excited about our new pontoon boat program that will be starting up soon. Also, starting in March, we have a brand new kayak launch that is out there at Armand Bayou, and 19 sit-on-top kayaks, which is really cool. So we'll start that program very soon. And then we have our annual events. We have things like our Martin Farm Festival, which happens in November. We have our Creepy Crawlers event, which happens in October. It's our big sort of Halloween event. We also have, in May, we will have our big fundraiser gala for, we call it Party for the Planet.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a gala. It's very informal, but it's a really good time, and adults love coming to that. So lots of exciting things always happening in Armand Bayou, and you can sign up for it all online. We have a website, just abnc.org, abnc, Armand Bayou Nature Center.org. And you can go on and you can sign up for our firefly hikes that happen in the spring. You can sign up for our owl hikes, or our bat hikes, or our night hikes, or our day hikes, all sorts of things. We also have a new library that's coming up. We're going to do a grand opening for that, and we're going to have some storytelling time, volunteers that come out and read stories. We'll be reading stories to kids for some cool nature-centered children's books. So we're very, very excited about that. There's always something going on. And if you want to see the latest happenings, we also have a Facebook page. We have a very strong online presence. We have an Instagram, we have Facebook, we also have Twitter. And the Facebook is really the greatest place, because you get to see these great pictures, and you get to see a little bit of narrative about what's going on. So if someone saw a bobcat, or if they saw that tropical parula or something like that, that gets posted on the Facebook page. So
good.
It's really, you can really kind of find out what's going on, and then go on our website and sign up.
Good. Well, I'm glad to hear you have an Instagram too, because I've been told that Facebook is for old people now. So I'm so glad that you're doing Facebook and Instagram.
Right.
Tim, thank you so much for joining us today. We are going to go over to Angelica right now to hear about some of the exciting events we have coming up next month.
Pasadena is filled with fun activities and exciting events. Here's a few that may interest you. Pasadena Philharmonic Orchestra is a nonprofit organization which supports an orchestra composed of professional players, music teachers from the public school, college students, and selected public school students. The society strives to provide a unique cultural outreach to this population while promoting cultural education, musical study, and performance. The society is active in support of community events. Come and enjoy the Pasadena Philharmonic Orchestra. For more information, please call 713-941-3332 or visit PasadenaPhilharmonic.com. Chamber March Luncheon. On Thursday, March 19th, the Pasadena Chamber is offering a unique, one-of-a-kind opportunity to hear from Dave Madsen, CEO and President of Sandler Training, best-selling author and leading of the world's largest sales effectiveness organization. Mr. Madsen will share insights on the barriers and blind spots which often prevent companies from achieving their level of success they envision. Don't miss your opportunity to learn from the best. Tickets are available now at PasadenaChamber.org. With spring break coming up, don't forget to check out some of your favorite local restaurants, shops, and event menus to keep your kids entertained during their time off from school. Well, folks, that's all the events that we have coming up. Stay tuned next month for more upcoming events. I'm Angelica Martinez with Discover Pasadena. Back to you, Erin.
That's it for today's show. We are so grateful to you for tuning in and hearing some of the amazing stories and extraordinary people we have living and working right here in Pasadena, Texas. Join us next month to discover more about Pasadena.